Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Soul Podcasting, the place where passion, purpose, and podcast strategy come together to help you amplify your voice without the burnout. I'm Demetria Zinga, founder of Soul Podcasting Collective, and today's episode is one that's near and dear to my heart. We're talking about what it really means to work with a team who gets you. Not just technically, but energetically and creatively. I'm going to share some personal stories and insights into how building my own support team has shifted not just my business, but also my mindset as a creative entrepreneur. So if you've ever felt like you're drowning in your to-do list, wondering if it's time to get some help, stick around. You're going to feel seen. If you've got your favorite beverage and a journal or a notebook to jot down your thoughts, I can't wait to speak to you today about something I think will totally change your mindset about podcasting. But first, we're going to kick it off with some fun music and come back with our brand new segment, which is Podcasting in the News. So here's what's trending. According to Edison Research, more and more creators are turning to video podcasting, you guys. This is the way to go now to grow your audience. Platforms like YouTube and Spotify are investing big in video, and creators who show up visually are seeing more reach and engagement. And this is huge. It's exactly why we offer video editing and social clip repurposing at Soul Podcasting Collective, because we know how important it is for your voice and your face to be seen across the platforms. So if you've been thinking about adding that video to your podcast, now is definitely the time to do it. And yes, we can help with that. Also on YouTube, it's expanding its podcast analytics in YouTube Studio, and that includes audience retention graphs specifically for podcast playlists. So if you've been ignoring YouTube as a podcasting platform, this is definitely your sign, because video podcasting is no longer optional for visibility, you guys. It's becoming a serious search engine opportunity, which is exactly why, once again, we've been focusing more as an agency on video editing for our clients. So I hope that you'll really tune into how you can make your podcast more visible. There are so many different ways to do that. If you are or have been an audio only podcast, there are ways to make that visible on YouTube. And if you're already creating a video podcast, it's so easy to get that posted on YouTube and just extract that audio to be available for your podcast hosts, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the different gamut of podcast hosts available that only play audio. But if you're showing video, it's so easy to have your video plus audio available to your listeners. So my suggestion to you, focus on video this year. So far, this podcast has been mainly audio, but we do upload it to YouTube. And so anybody can listen to the show on YouTube, and we will also have guests that will be on the show very shortly. So I'm really excited that you'll be able to kind of see another dimension of this show, kind of a different format, and you'll see some upcoming changes to just the way we do things here at Soul Podcasting. So I'm really excited about the upcoming changes to this podcast. But today we're going to talk about editing. We're talking about keeping your energy and your ease and your flow in order to do the work that you do, and you're not putting all that energy into your edits. So let's take it back for just a second, and I'm going to share my story with you, because when I started podcasting, I did everything. And I mean the recording, the editing, the mixing, the writing the show notes, creating the graphics, and sometimes even learning new software just to get one episode published. And I was homeschooling at the time, so imagine squeezing all that into nap times and late nights. And of course, all of that paid off, because today, here I am running an agency helping others to do this work. But at that time, it was just a lot. And I remember one time I stayed up until 3 a.m. editing an episode because I was determined to meet a self-imposed deadline. My toddler had woken up 3 times that night, and by the time I published the episode the next morning, I felt like a zombie. I was proud, but I was exhausted. And for what reason? Well, it felt empowering for a season. I was proud that I could bootstrap and wear all the hats. But eventually, between podcasting and blogging and working on website designs for clients and homeschooling and then moving 5 times, eventually it became a lot, maybe even too much. And I started dreading the process. I knew that I wanted my voice to be heard. I knew that I had a message for homeschool moms and I wanted to share that on a podcast, but I started to dread the process at times. As much as I loved podcasting, I knew that it was going to be a lot of work, especially since I was also the one handling all of my technical things, such as my blog, my website, my WordPress, my SEO, my digital marketing, everything that had to go along with creating this brand. And that's when I realized that just because I can do it all doesn't mean that I should. Now, granted, I had a very tight budget, and so I did what I could with what I had, and I'm really grateful for everything I've learned during the process and making the most of what I could in those moments. But doing it all solo is often glorified in our culture, but I'm here to challenge that idea because the truth is that your voice is the most valuable asset in your podcasting journey. And the more time you spend on this behind the scenes stuff, which is the editing, the polishing, the slicing and dicing of your audios and videos, the less time you have to really show up fully in your purpose. Let's say that you hire a team of people to help you to do this work, or maybe you have a VA or you have someone that you've hired, but let's just say that they really don't get you. They don't understand what exactly you're looking for and how they can help you the best. And in a moment, we're going to talk about the magic that happens when your team does get you. But for now, let's kind of zero in on what happens if you inevitably choose a team that does not really understand what you're going for. And I'm going to take you back to a season early in my podcasting journey when I was trying to outsource just a few things like my graphics, a little bit of repurposing, some editing. But again, I didn't have a budget. So I was typically on places like Fiverr to find the help that I needed. But every time I handed something off, I found myself redoing most of it. And graphics really felt off-brand to me. They would be submitted to me in the deliverables folder, and I'd open it up and I would be so disappointed in what I just paid for. Some of the audio edits kind of missed the vibe that I was looking for. Maybe the voiceover wasn't exactly what I was going for. Maybe show notes were a little bit robotic. It felt like a transcription and didn't feel like it came from my heart. And it felt like I was constantly explaining myself over and over and over again to my VA. And I wasn't actually building a team. I was building more work. And I remember thinking, why is this so hard? Like, isn't the point of hiring help supposed to be less stressful? So here's the thing. When your team doesn't get your vision, it creates friction because you spend your precious creative energy managing, correcting, and clarifying instead of creating and building and even scaling your business. So you may start to second guess your voice or feel like you're being too much, like we talked about in our last episode, for just being who you are, wanting things a certain way. But that's not it, really. It's just that you've hired the wrong team or the wrong support system. It's not just about skill sets. Even they may have the skills you need, but it's also about synergy. So when your podcast support team doesn't understand your tone, your brand, or your mission, the disconnect can be very draining for you. And it often shows up in a couple of different ways, such as inconsistent visuals that really dilute your brand presence. It can show up in tone deaf show notes that really miss the soul of what your episodes are about. Choppy editing that interrupts your storytelling flow. You want the editing to be smooth. And then you may even have some generic content repurposing that just doesn't resonate with your audience at all. And the thing is that it's not always a reflection of their talent. They might really, truly be amazing editors or designers, but if they don't get you, if they don't get your vision and your audience, it's just not the right match. You just have to give yourself room to make that decision for yourself. Is this a good fit for me or not? At Soul Podcasting Collective, this is exactly why we build deep client relationships, because we're not just here to chop your audio or slap some captions on your reels. We really want to learn your voice. We want to understand your rhythm. We treat your podcast like the movement that it is. It's not just another task. It is your heart and soul that you're putting into this content. So if you've ever felt that tension with your team, you're not alone. And it doesn't mean you should give up on outsourcing, but it just means it's time to find a dream team who's aligned with the heart of your message. So what happens when you do find that right fit? A supportive team of people who actually get your vision. And here is where we wanted to make Soul Podcasting Collective different. I knew I didn't want to create this cookie cutter production house. I wanted to build a collective of creatives who truly care, like who understand the soul behind your show and who can help bring your message to life without stripping it of its essence. So I remember working with one of my very first agency clients years ago when I first developed my podcasting services. She was a spiritual coach with a beautiful message, but she had limited tech skills. And she told me one time, Demetria, I feel like you're finishing my sentences. I just feel like you truly get where I'm going with this. And that's when I knew like I was on the right track for her. We weren't just working on a show together, but we were building something sacred. And I've worked with clients who've told me that I just get them. And to me, that is the biggest compliment. Even in designing websites, when that was kind of my thing for many years, that to me was one of the most important things I could do, is to really get in tune with what the client wanted, what their personality was, kind of the way they express themselves in life. And I wanted to help them create a brand presence that exuded their personality and who they are, but also where they wish to go professionally. And so I try to make their brand align with their values. And that I do take a lot of time up front to really get to know my clients. And I do the same thing with podcasting. It's, to me, it's really no different. So because I have a background in brand development, I feel like that translates really nicely to our podcasting agency. So whether we're coaching you through this high stakes interview that you have with someone coming up really soon, or we're editing your episode so it sounds polished but still natural, we're really tuned into your vibe. And that kind of synergy changes everything. All right, so let's take a little break because I want to share something with you guys. This is the first time I've done this type of an ad placement before, and we're just going to do it this time. And you may be hearing more of this in upcoming episodes. I want to share something delicious and practical that's been giving me life during my work days. If you are familiar with my Her Business Elevated podcast, I talk about being a snacker, how I like to snack on things while I'm working. I work from home and sometimes from co-working spaces, and I'm always on the hunt for something that's tasty and gives me that energy boost that I need during my editing marathons or coaching calls. So I've always got something nearby, and it's not always healthy. Well, here's the deal with quantum energy squares. These bars are next level, y'all. Each bar has like 100 milligrams of organic caffeine. And I'm just going to tell you now, I'm not a caffeine person. Typically, I'm trying to wean myself off of coffee and slowing down on the caffeine. But this energy bar has enough caffeine where I don't need coffee. It's got 10 grams of plant-based protein. And at my age, I'm really trying to take better care of my body. And protein is something that I'm really focusing more on, getting more of that into my diet. It also has healthy fats and complex carbs. So that means I stay full and focused without the crash that I used to get from having a large cup of coffee with the whipped cream and the sugar and the chocolate syrup and all of that in my mocha. My favorite flavors right now, I'm really into peanut butter lately, and there's also a dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. So good. And these are certified plant-based, gluten-free, non-GMO, and have no weird artificial ingredients, and they're perfect for busy entrepreneurs, whether you're on the go or deep in your flow. You can find them at quantumsquares.com, and yep, I've got a promo code just for my listeners. Check the show notes for your exclusive discount. Speaking of show notes, you guys, don't forget to grab your free checklist. I'm going to probably mention it again at the end of the show, but it's called Is It Time to build your podcast dream team, and it'll help you to assess whether it's time to get support and what kind of help you actually need. So if you're looking for someone to help with your editing, guest prep, or repurposing your episodes into clips that pop on socials, that's what we do here at Soul Podcasting Collective. So book your free 20-minute meet and greet and let's see if we are a fit. Now back to the show. All right, so let me tell you also what I gave up first, and hopefully this will resonate with you because there's some things you have to give up in order to be able to move forward in your business. And the first thing I gave up was graphic design. And I do love graphics, you guys. I play with graphics all the time. I used to spend hours on Canva, but not just Canva. I've been playing around with Adobe Photoshop for years and actually got sort of good at it. I tried to pick the right colors, make sure my fonts match, resizing everything for every social media platform. And I do have an eye for design. I pretty much have to be, as I've been also a website designer. But it was eating up a lot of my time, especially if it wasn't a passion, especially if it wasn't something that stood out to me as an important thing to focus on in my life as far as career. So I remember a Saturday afternoon where I spent 4 hours straight just designing my podcast cover art and graphics, only to scrap them all and start over because they didn't feel right. And that was my turning point. So I hired someone just for that one task, and it felt like a breath of fresh air. Not only did he take my vision and elevate it, but suddenly I had more energy to focus on the things that only I can do, like writing scripts or showing up on video or mapping out strategy. Those are the things that I love to do. Then I just started handing off other things in my business, and each time I felt lighter. Each handoff gave me more room to be the creative CEO that I wanted to be. So when you find the right people, my friend, it doesn't feel like outsourcing. It just feels like partnership. And there's nothing better than sending your raw episode files off to someone you trust, knowing that they're going to come back polished and on brand, or collaborating with someone who can take a 30-minute episode and pull out the most powerful 60 seconds for a reel. That's the kind of support I built around myself. And it's the kind that we offer our clients. At Soul Podcasting Collective, we're here to make you feel held in your podcasting journey. We want to be the partner or the friend that anticipates your needs before you even ask for it. It's like an intuitive type of collaboration. And I think that is so priceless. And it's what's helped me in my journey as I begin to slowly offload some of the extra work that I don't need on my plate. So I feel like it's like having a whole squad cheering you on and making your life easier behind the scenes, where you can just feel supported and feel like you're not alone anymore. So here's what I want you to take away today: that you were never meant to do this all by yourself. Your podcast deserves a support system just as much as your business does. And you can start small if you need to, but just take one thing off your plate. See what happens. You deserve a team who gets it and who gets you. And again, don't forget to grab that checklist. It's called Is It Time to Build Your Podcast Dream Team? It's found at soulpodcasting.com/dream-team-checklist. And that link is in the show notes. And if you're curious about working with us, editing, repurposing, coaching, anything regarding your podcast support and improvement, let's connect. I want you to head to the show notes and book your free 20-minute meet and greet. I'd love to hear about your show and see how we can be of support to you. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Keep podcasting with heart. Keep showing up in your brilliance. And maybe, just maybe, next time, within the next couple of episodes, we'll have an interview ready for you. Until then, I'll see you next time on Soul Podcasting.